Welcome to this session. In this session, we are going to discuss about SQL views. So, how to create the views and what are all the things we can apply under the views. These are the things is the agenda of the session. First, views means the similar kind of the virtual table. So, why we are just creating the views? What is the necessity, the use and conditions for creating the views? So these are all the things we are going to discuss under this session. So the views also has rows and columns similar to our real table, and for our making the convenient purpose we are just creating the views. So I have original tables nearly with the 100 columns, so it's very difficult for me to dealing with that table, as well as I'm just having some afraid any details are missing when I'm just doing some updations of that. In that cases, so I can able to apply and creating the views. So I can create the views. I don't want to work with the entire all the 100 columns, only the certain columns alone I need. Means, so I can select those columns and then create it as a view table, and then I'm just applying some my analysis on that. So later I don't want that table also, I can able to remove it. So for making this kind of the simplest process, so the views is helping a lot in the database. So we can create the views by selecting the fields from one or more tables also, not only a single table. So I want to connect the two different tables, I can able to create a view. So for the first table, 5 columns I need, and then second table I need the last 4 columns. So I'm just going to be working with these 9 columns alone. Now I can create the view as like this, and then I can apply the analysis on my view table. Uh, so view can be either all the rows of the table or otherwise a specific rows. So when we are just talking about the rows means the content. For my original table I have the thousands of content, means I don't want to work with the entire the content. I need only the half of the portion, means we can able to apply the rows. So all these facilities are available. So it's making the simplest process for working with the users. The first thing, how to create a view. So creation of the view, this is a syntax. So more like similar to our creating the table. Create view is a keyword, and you have to mention the view name as this keyword, and what are all the columns you are just selecting from the original table that we want to specify here. Select how many columns we want, column 1, column 2, like that. From which table, the table name you have to mention. Any conditions if we are applying, then we can use the where condition. Unless otherwise, as it is we are just giving entire the column, it's going to be creating as a view. Okay, so now this is our original table. Just assume it, it's just like student details, 5 informations are available and 2 columns is there. Now I'm just creating a view from the single table only, here only the single table. I'm just selecting the name and address, both the columns I'm just taking, but I don't want all the entries from the column. I'm just selecting filter out the conditions. The student ID must be less than 5 alone. So that is a meaning. I don't want all the records from this table. I want only the 4 records, student ID 1, 2, 3, 4 alone I need. So I'm just setting the conditions. Student ID is less than 5. Okay, so student ID is also one of the column, and name and then address. So from this I'm just selecting the 2 column, name and address alone, but I don't want to select all the 5 rows. I know only the 4 rows, so the condition is mentioned here. Okay, so like that I'm just creating the view. Okay, now the view was created. How can I see the view table? So same like as a select. So select star from, usually we will give the table name. Instead of here view name we are creating. So here our view name is a details view is the view table name. Okay, so select star from details view. This is the name of this new table. So then we will just get the output. So this view is dealing with the single table. So similarly we can able to apply with the multiple tables too. So here we are creating the views with the multiple table. So the originally we have the two tables. Student detail is one table, another one is the student marks is the another table. So now I want to create a view. I need the name of the student and then address and then student marks. Okay, so when we are seeing these two tables, all the content is not similar. So the first data is Harsh, student ID Harsh, and then second data is Anish and Pratik, Danraj and Ram. So when we are seeing with the student mark, Harsh and Suresh, Pratik, Danraj and Ram. So here there is no information about Anish mark. Okay, now I need name of the student, address of the student and marks for the student. So now I need to match with these two tables. So overall matching with the details and then marks. So those person information alone I can able to create it as a view. Okay, so now how we can create means create a view. It's a keyword. Marks view is the this view table name as select. What are all the things we are just selecting? Name and address. From which table? Student details table. So student details dot name and student details dot address. So these two columns we are just taking from this table. That is a representation. And marks we are just taking from the student marks table. So student marks dot marks. Okay, marks is the column name and student marks is the table name. From student details and student marks. Okay, then now condition is where. What is the condition? The both the tables which data are having the matches, then we are creating the view. So student dot details. So which column is common from these two tables means name column is the common column. So student details dot name equal to student marks dot name. So if the both the column it's matching, those information alone it's going to be taken and then place it as a new view. If doesn't match, so those information will not be taken care of for creating as a new view. So the row by row the condition is going to be verified, then it is creating the view. So after executing you can see the output. The Anish information and Suresh information not be displayed under the view table. So only the four informations are matching. So those information alone created as a view. So this is the when dealing with the multiple tables we have to very carefully set the conditions. And after applying some analysis or that, I don't want to keep that view means simply we can delete the views. So deleting the view, the as usual drop as the keyword. So drop view and then what is our view name you can give it. And then updation of the views. So when we are just dealing with the updations, not simply we can't able to do the updation. So we have some set of conditions. If the following condition is not met, any one condition is not met, so we can't able to apply the updations under the view. So what are the conditions? The first thing, whenever we are using the select statement, the select statement should not contain any group by or order by classes. Where classes is applicable, but the group by or order by classes it should not be used. If it is used, we can't do the updation. The first thing. And second thing, it should not contain any distinct keywords. So when we are just applying the constraints, at that time we will just saying, so it should not contain any distinct keyword. And then the view should have all the null values. There is no empty things. If there are no data means you have to mention as a null, right? So it should have all not null values. So the view must contain some values. So there is no null values. Okay. And then the view should not be created using nested queries or complex queries. So the views can be created using only the simple things. Nested queries or complex queries, if using that we are created the view means updation is not possible. Similarly, view should be created from the single table. You can create the view with the multiple tables too, but when we are just dealing like that, you can't able to do the updations on the view. Okay, when you are created the views with the multiple tables, then the updation is not possible. If the view was created from the single table means, then only it is updation is possible. Because previous example, we created the view like this. We are just taken the marks from the mark student table and then details from the student details table. So anything if you are just updated, so that will not reflected in this here. So that will be a very difficult for that. Okay, so that is making some unwanted the errors. So this is the dealing with the multiple tables, and we are just created the view. If we are just creating like this in this table, we can't able to do the updations. Okay, so based on these conditions only the updating the view is possible. Okay, so finally, what are all the uses of view? So why we are just creating the views, and what is the necessity of this? The first thing is restricting the data access. Right, so the whole tables, initially I told that my database is very huge. I don't want to give the everyone to access that means, so specific information alone I'm just taking and then make it as a some view, and then I'll just ask you to someone to work on that. So without touching in my own uh, huge table. And then hiding the data complexity, and simplifying the commands for the user. So sometimes we are just doing some joins, left join, right join, those things. Instead of that, if you are doing and then we have to write the queries or very complex queries, so instead of to avoiding those things, so we are just making the simplifying our commands, and then store the complex queries. So views can be used to storing some complex queries, and we can do some renaming the columns, and multiple view facilities are available. So different views can be created for the same table itself for the different purpose. So different users can able to approach in the different format. So for that we can able to create the multiple view facilities. Okay, so these are all the purpose or otherwise the uses of the views. Thank you.